What's going on, everyone? LMC here. Pretty exciting day. What is it? It's Wednesday, first week of March, Wednesday the 4th, and they just released the new Hall of Heroes. Everybody's been speculating about which one this is going to be. Everybody knew it was going to be a light monster. So, there was some speculation. Is it going to be light ninja? Is it going to be, finally, this thing's opening. Is it going to be a 5-star light character? But here it is, Sylph. Light Sylph. So people are pretty excited about this monster. Hall of Heroes, for those of you who are just starting playing this game, Hall of Heroes is a pretty difficult dungeon, and you have to collect 50 pieces to get this monster. So it's just like a secret dungeon, except it's Com2 US's weekend dungeon only, and you can get this 4-star monster. You have to get 50 pieces instead of 40 if you were going after a 3-star monster. And it's a lot more difficult to get these pieces as well. If you do level 1 for this dungeon, you have a chance to get 1 piece, but you have a chance to get 0 pieces as well. Also, if you do level 2, which is much more difficult, you're guaranteed 1 piece, and you have a chance to get 2, and I believe 3 if you're really lucky pieces. So if you can do Hall of Heroes level 2, usually that's what most people do in the game. Usually level 3, you're guaranteed at least 1 piece, but the drop rates are even higher for level 3. But it's way more difficult, and only really powerful teams with all 6-star monsters can usually do that dungeon. Sometimes you can throw in some 5-star monsters. But if you're just starting out in this game, make sure you get yourself at least one of these characters coming up this weekend. I'm going to try to do a video on some tips and tricks to help your team succeed in doing this dungeon. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to help you out with this dungeon, though, because this is kind of a big deal. If you can get one or more of these characters, it's going to help your game quite a bit. This is a pretty good character. We're going to go over that. So it explains, when this is going to start, yada, yada, yada. Let's take a look at the character, actually. So, Eredas here. This is the awakened version of the Wind Sylph. There's been quite a bit of discussion on Facebook which one's better, Eredas or Tyron already. And I think Tyron's pulling into the lead. He's got 100% freeze, where Eredas has a cyclone that hits 4 times. Each attack has a 10% chance to stun the enemy. And reusable every 5 turns, whereas Tyron here is reusable every 6 turns, but the freeze is like 100%. Some other differences as well. Increases the attack speed of ally monsters by 19%. So Tyron here, his leader skill is usable in Arena, Tower of Ascension, and all the other dungeon content. Whereas Eredas increases the attack speed by more, but it's only usable in dungeons. So Tower of Ascension is not a dungeon, so the leader skill will not work for Tower of Ascension, just so everybody knows that. Pretty awesome monster, though. Can be a very good stunning monster. And one thing I've recently learned, if you have multiple stun monsters, let's say you can just CC the heck out of everybody in Tower of Ascension. Let's say you have 3 monsters with Despair Runes, and then you have a couple survivability monsters like a Casus or Amin or Belladon. You're going to make it really far in Tower of Ascension, and just general dungeon content as well. That's kind of the meta. There's no specific team that's the meta for all the content out there, but it's mostly, CC, which is crowd control, and survivability. So this monster, if you can summon a few of them, maybe get a couple skill ups, put some Despair Runes on him, it's a him, you're going to do really well. So it's pretty important to get this monster, especially a light 4-star monster. These are really few and far between with the current state of the game. So fire up, it's going to be exciting, and everybody should be able to get at least one, even if you can only do level 1. So we could talk about this a little bit more. The second skill does a cyclone 2 times, so it attacks all enemies really good. And the third skill attacks all enemies. And it's reusable every 5 turns, 5 turns. You can get the cooldown timers if you have enough skill ups. That's a lot of skill ups, though. And has a 40% chance to increase the enemy's chance to land a glancing hit. Glancing hit's really important, actually. Let me show you how to find all these different skill ups. This is going to be important to you. Go to freetoplaygaming.com. So I got that up right here. Let's see if I can't show this to you a little bit better. Okay. Oh, come on. All right, we'll just leave it right here. So you go to useful links, and this is one of the useful links that I told you guys to check out. Where is it? Buff debuff chart. So this is really cool here. So if you want to know what a glancing hit actually means, let's see if we can't find it. Here's increased glancing hit rate. Plus 50% chance to cause the target's attacks to land as glancing hits. Glancing hits deal 50% less damage, cannot crit, and does not apply harmful effects. So glancing hit is huge, especially for like Giant's Keep. That's why Shannon, when she does her first skill, it has a chance to apply a glancing hit. That makes the Giant's attack hit like a wet noodle pretty much, especially if you get reduced attack power on top of it from Bernard. You know, it's stacking these debuffs, which lets you accomplish some of that really hard endgame content. So there you go. There's some other really useful links there as well, and those were given to me by the community members, so I've just put them all in one convenient spot for you guys. Don't forget to check out freetoplaygaming.com to see those useful links. There's my little shameless plug for the day. Let's take a look at the stats though. If you get a 6-star, you know, you kind of want to look at what the maximum amount of stats are going to be when you 6-star max level this monster. So hit points, 11,500, attack, 703, defense, defense is a little low, 505, pretty squishy. So, and that's Eredas. Okay, so let's take a look at Tyron here, just as a comparison. So less hit points, looks like less attack and a little bit more defense. No, a little bit more attack for Tyron. Tyron has 725, where Eredas has 703. Tyron has about 1,000, about 800, 700 less hit points, and Tyron has a little bit more defense. So he's a little bit more sustainable. But one thing that Eredas has going for him is that he's a light monster, so he is not elementally weak against anything except a dark monster. Eredas will be weak against Ifrit once that becomes the 5-star fusion monster. But overall, I really like this character, and I think I'm going to get one and throw some skill ups at him. So cool. You know, I guess we'll keep this video pretty short for now. Hope you guys are fired up for this Hall of Heroes. I'm going to try to get a little bit of a guide out there on how you can beat this dungeon when it is released, time willing. Hope you guys are having a good time in Summoner's War and are having a lot of luck. You know, I'm having a good time myself. I just 6-starred my last monster. I did record it, but I don't know if I'm going to put the video together. You know, it's Verdehile, it's the Fire Vampire. I also recently bought experience booster, so I've been trying to take full advantage of that. Check out the experience farming and mana stone farming guide I released. It's going to give you some really good information on how you can get the most out of your experience boosters, the different ways to get the most experience. You know, it should be really helpful information for you out there, and it's going to explain to you how you can not easily, it still takes time and effort, but I have 8 6-star monsters now. And for a free-to-play player, I think that's pretty good. So you can also get these 6-star monsters, especially if you're being efficient and you're grinding the dungeons that benefit you the most. You know, it's the best way to get these 6-star monsters. It takes time, but it's a lot easier if you follow the tips in that guide. So that's about all I have to say. Maybe I'll give you a little tip on Verdehile here. Just most people already know this, but he's super powerful because of his passive. Crit rates increase the attack bars of allies by 20%. So he has his first skill attacks 2 times. So that's a possibility if both hits in his first skill land to increase the attack bar of all allies by 40%. So his first attack, if you have him on an auto team, you want him to be using the first attack all the time. Attack 2 times, and he also recovers some hit points from his first attack. So the second attack here, I have some skill ups here, but it's only a single attack. It's way stronger than the first attack, but you don't really want him to use it because his main goal is to increase the attack bar of all allies, to keep them attacking so that the enemies can't hardly ever get a chance to attack. That makes your whole team more sustainable. So I was pretty bummed because Water Vampire Hall of Heroes was released, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, so I farmed a whole bunch of Water Vampires, and I fed those to him, making him a 5-star. And when I did that, I was pretty bummed out because I was hoping for the first skill to get all these damage plus percentages. The passive has no skill ups, it's just an automatic effect. But instead, I ended up getting 3 of them were his second skill. Now, you don't want this cooldown turn -1 because if this is reusable every 2 turns instead of 3, then he's going to be using this more often. Yeah, it's a more powerful attack, but again, you really want him to be attacking twice to get this passive to trip twice to get the 40% more attack bar for your allies. So he's strong. There's a lot of different ways you can rune him. I did a vampire guide rune video, so you might want to check that out. It's got some good tips. Might be a little bit dated. Runes for this guy, most people say Violent Blade or Violent and some other substat. You want to go for 100% crit. So right now with my runes, they're not the best. He's got 80% crit, but I did go with an energy rune down here because I had a 6-star crit rate percent energy rune. So once this is plus 15, that's going to give me an additional 15% crit rate. 6-star at plus 15 is going to be plus 58%. So that's going to make it 95% here. And I think that's as high as I'm going to get with this current rune set. I got speed in 2, so he's really quite fast. He's got plus 65 speed here. He's not, uber fast, but he's pretty good. So I had this energy rune and this crit rate rune, so it made sense for me to use these. And I didn't have good violent runes, so I went with Swift for the extra speed. So Swift runes are kind of like the alternative to violent runes. Violent runes are really difficult to get, and I'm actually going to use Verdehile, hopefully, in my Dragons B10 team. So if I can use him in my Dragons B10 team, I can start getting some of these violent runes and then start, doing some of the other monsters that so many monsters use those violent runes. I've talked about this quite a few times, but you have to get a team that's capable of doing Dragons B10 before you really start getting them. The only other way to get them is through the magic shop, and I haven't been lucky enough to get a whole bunch of violent runes like some people. Make sure you're checking the magic shop looking for these violent runes. If you see a 6-star hit point percent violent rune, that's an insta buy. So many end game arena monsters use something like that. And if you have questions about whether a rune is an insta buy or not, a lot of people are using our Facebook group, Free to Play Gaming, um, on Facebook to ask those questions. So feel free to do that. There's a lot of people checking out Facebook all the time. So it's been really great. I'm going to get going before this video gets too long, but fire up for the Hall of Heroes, the light Sylph. It's going to be pretty exciting, so don't forget to at least get yourself one. I'll talk to you guys later. LMC signing out.